Well, welcome on back into VGMporium, video game music and more. I am the proprietor of this establishment and your host, Rage Cage. And surprise, surprise, it's only been a month, but we already have another SPO episode here. A special orders episode. And, this is good. You know, that's because, more and more people are, just wanting this silly little man to talk about their video game musics that they like. Oh, geez, such smiles that happen when this silly man talks about these things. All right, and if this is your first time in, and you're wondering, what is this silly man talking about? Well, I do special orders, whereas I'll take, basically song requests, and you can send them into VGMporium@gmail.com, or if you find me on Twitter, you can DM me there or whatnot, and then the Discord link, if you find that, you can just put it there because there's a special order channel. And when I get enough in, generally 5 to 6, I'll make its own dedicated episode. And I want to put it out there, it's not just limited to video game music. It could be like original chiptune, original music that's inspired by video game music, remixes, you name it, anything that's VGM adjacent. So now let's get into this proper. So the track that brought us in was JC Eltons from VA11 Hall A, or known as Valhalla. It was composed by Michael Kelley, and this was special ordered in by Professor Tom of the Shujin Academy VGM Club. Now, so I've only heard tell of this game through like the other VGM podcasts as well as on some of the Discord servers I've been on, but I've never really looked into it proper until now, when Professor Tom special ordered this track in. And the essential of this is basically it's a bartending sim with some light visual novel elements in a dystopian cyberpunk future setting. And really the only way of propelling the story forward is the drinks that you make for all the customers that come into Valhalla. And they are all based off of those really cool one-shot side characters that are in like a lot of dystopian cyberpunk movies and, media. Those kind of characters that just kind of stick with you, even though they only showed up for like a scene or two and like maybe even only interacted with the main character for only maybe like a second. They look and sound pretty intriguing and, kind of just want to go see like, what are they doing? What are they up to? I don't want to follow this main guy. He's boring. I want to see what they're doing. So speaking of main characters, the bartender in question, her name is Jill. And again, like, the only way that she interacts with these people is like by making them drinks that they order. But there is one other way that she interacts with like the world is the place called JC Eltons, which is a marketplace where you can actually go before your shift, or her shift, and buy items that will help her make her feel happy, will help her work better, and get you tip bonuses and whatnot through the day. And this is where this track plays. And I see what you did there, Tom. You snuck in both a shop theme and a special order into one thing here. You got me. So now about this composer here, Michael Kelley, who also goes by the name Garoad. And it looks like they only have a few video game projects under their belt, so one being Valhalla, the other being Yuppie Psycho, and then a upcoming release Bushiden, which is coming out this year sometime, I think. And then they also have a few original albums called Sukiban EP, Blue, and Passenger. So yeah, you can find them on Bandcamp, and they also have their own website. It's garoadmusic.com. So now we're going to get into our next track here, and actually this was missed on the last round of orders. It should have been in the last SPO episode, but I done forgot about it. So here it is. It's special ordered in by Hammock, host of KVGM, The Last Wave. And this is the title theme from Rayxanber 3, composed by Yasuhiti Saito. and that was title theme from Rayxanber. I keep wanting to say Rayxander. That's Rayxanber 3, composed by Yasuhiti Saito, special ordered in by Hammock, host of KVGM, The Last Wave. And if you don't know about KVGM, I mean, come on, it's one of the smoothest podcasts around, hosted by one of the smoothest guys around, Hammock. And hey, Jabroni, what are you doing? If you don't have, go check it out every other Sunday, and it broadcasts live on 8 Beats Radio at 5:30 CET on said Sundays. And now this track, I mean, like, me oh my, I mean, what else can I say but other than that it just took my breath away? I mean, I'm surprised I can even keep talking to you. I just gotta step back, take a deep breath, and tell you about this thing, this Rayxanber the Third. As the name suggests, it is the third and also last game in the Rayxanber series, which is a series of sci-fi themed shoot-'em-ups. And it is actually considered one of the best shoot-'em-ups as well as one of the most beautiful games on the PC Engine. That's the TurboGrafx 16 to us Yanks. The big reason for that being it was released on the PC Engine CD. And a big plus of this CD format was the entire soundtrack being in this wonderful Red Book audio. And seeing as this is just the title theme, I can only imagine that the rest of the soundtrack is just as good, if not better. And that is thanks to the composer, Yasuhiti Saito. He has a pretty short list of titles that he's worked on throughout like 9 years. So starting in 1985 with Flappy on the Famicom, and titles like Volgard on the PC-60 and Layla on the Famicom. We got Woody Poco on Famicom, Produce on the PC-88, the first Rayxanber, and then as well as Rayxanber 2 and 3, Gooklite, TDF2, and then the last few titles are Psychic Detective Series Volume 3 and 4, also on the PC Engine CD, and then the last 2 titles are Vajra and Vajra 2. That last one being in 1994. And now, circling back to how this game looks, I actually just watched a little long play of it, and just that first stage is pretty cool because, it starts off with, this huge ship, and then you see your craft coming out of it, and then you have to, you keep going around it, the screen kind of keeps moving around, and you have to stop all these enemies and little parasite things from getting on it with, jeezy weezers. Kutsu, what are you doing? Oh, man. You're too big. You're way too big. Sorry. My cat snuck in here with me. And he just tried to jump up on the table, and he's too big and fat to make it up on the table by himself with all this clutter all up here. What are you doing? But anyway, yeah, the game looks really cool. Check it out. It would be really cool if it got a re-release at some point because it looks really worth playing, but emulation exists. Oh man, he's just getting all over the place. Here, listen to this purr. This boy purrs a lot. He's getting all up in the place. He's almost like Zuzu 2.0, who is the older cat that we had, who had passed away, unfortunately, the year before. Because he likes to eat, he likes to bully our other cat for her food, and he purrs a lot. Yeah. You bungus. Anyway, thank you, Hammock, for that special order. I'm definitely going to be digging more into this soundtrack, and I need to get more into, more Red Book audio VGM soundtracks in general, because... yeah, I mean, between this and then the stuff from the last episode, I'm really liking it. So, yeah, thank you, Hammock, and I hope to hear from you more soon. Now, how about some music from a game that hasn't even been released yet? So now this special order is coming in from Bedroth, or actually, as he put it, the Utes. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is a Ute? Well, the answer may surprise you. It's Utes. But yeah, so it's coming from Bedroth's Kiddos. This is Haunted Mansion from Astebros, or is it Astebros? It was composed by a really good chiptunist of the Sega Genesis variety, Savage Regime. Well, welcome on back. That was Haunted Mansion from Astebros, composed by Savage Regime. And that was special ordered in by the Utes of Bedroth. You still don't know what a Ute is? I would highly recommend you go check out Bedroth's podcast, The Movie Bar, where he co-hosts with the Dyad and they watch movies that are based around lawyers. Maybe more specifically, check out the one on My Cousin Vinny. And so now this little ditty that they special ordered in is actually a preview track from a game that is still in development. It is Astebros, and it is being developed by Neofid Technologies, who had previously created the Demons of Asteborg. And what Astebros is going to be is a roguelite multiplayer game. So it's going to be a 2D side-scrolling. I think it's going to be up to 2 players, and you basically just co-op through levels, and they're procedurally generated, so each playthrough is not going to be the same. Of course, that's the way of rogues. But the really cool thing about this game, the Demons of Asteborg previously, is going to be released on a Sega Mega Drive Genesis cart, so that you can actually play it on your console. So it's like actually being made with the limitations of the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. Jeez, it would have been really easy if they had just decided to keep Mega Drive here for the States and just ignore whatever issue it was for the naming and all. Bah! Anyway, so with those limitations, that they're following, of course the sound would have to follow, and it follows so very well. This music by Savage Regime. It is of course made using the YM2612 and the SN76489, which is the chipset used for the sound of the Sega Genesis. And if anything I'd have to say about this, it sounds like if Hitoshi Sakimoto had composed music for another, Sega Genesis Mega Drive Castlevania game. And that is to credit to Savage Regime, because what they largely do has been covers or remixes of using the Sega Genesis sound chips, and they've been doing it for 8 years now, at least on YouTube. And I remember seeing them on YouTube and SoundCloud back in 2015 or so, when and actually I'm surprised I forgot to include them on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive chiptune scene Model 2. But anyway, yeah, they've been doing this for a bit. They're kind of part of that 2010 scene, and been doing a lot of covers and just learning a lot of these styles, and has been doing, has recently just started been doing game soundtracks. I think one of the ones they did is Xenocrisis. So they definitely have the ability to create, chiptune music that is in the style of one, and it would sound like it's being composed by this person, i.e. Castlevania composed by Mega Drive era Hitoshi Sakimoto. So yeah, kind of actually excited for this OST when it drops, because I want to see whether they went with kept going with this style, or if they kind of did that mixing different styles throughout. So that's pretty exciting. So thank you again, Bedroth and Kiddos, for this special order. Now moving on to our next one here, you may have noticed that we've been getting a lot more Red Book audio on the show lately, and I want to try to explore that more and bring that in. But this is something I was not expecting to actually have played on the show at all. This next SPO is coming in from a new listener, Pocket Ellery, who happened to find the show through Mastodon, which is pretty cool. And they special ordered in Swing Time from Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin on the Sega CD. And this is performed by Mr. Big.
Innocent or guilty, it ain't always easy to see.
That was Swing Time from Spider-Man vs. Kingpin, performed by Mr. Big, and this is special ordered in by Pocket Ellery. So yes, in the early 90s, the CD technology was beginning to take off, and many companies were seeing the possibilities of no longer being shackled by the simple bleeps and bloops and twangy sounds of the sound chips of yore. Many saw the opportunity to take the sounds that they had used for their demos that the chip tunes were based off of and actually put them in the games themselves, much more higher quality production. And in the West, generally the same thing, but some were like, hey, we can actually get some real bands to make music for these games. Video games are no longer for kids. This is some serious business. We need to have some real bands in here to get some real recognition. But who could best represent Spider-Man fighting the Kingpin? I've got it! Mr. Big! They should know about Spider-Man. They don't. I can imagine when they're being told to write this song, the guy just comes in, hey, this guy Spider-Man, look at him. He's got a red suit, he flies around with webs and stuff. He takes no prisoners. Come on, write a song about that, Mr. Big, please. For the kids. They're gonna love it. And so you get this hard rock gem. The rest of the OST by Spencer N. Nilsson and David Young is actually pretty good. It's more just less butt rock and just plain rock. Kind of like some synthy stuff going on in there too. In this game, it's your standard side scrolling beat 'em up, and the story goes that, Kingpin has some nuclear weapons and has the keys, but he puts the blame on Spider-Man, so now Spider-Man has to go and stop Kingpin before he sets off these nukes and fights off all the different, his own rogues gallery. You got Venom and Green Goblin, Vulture, Mysterio, Electro. But where's
Shocker? You can't get away from me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
And all the versions are pretty much the same across the board, gameplay-wise and graphically. The main difference being with the Sega CD that they added in, this enhanced soundtrack and cutscenes and a couple alternate endings, which they really didn't need to add in there. They're pretty depressing. One, Mary Jane falls into a vat of acid. The other one, Spider-Man and Mary Jane fall into a vat of acid. So yeah, thank you again, Pocket Ellery, for this special order and helping to stir things up a bit here. Keep them coming. And now we're on to our last order of the day, and this is coming from Crazy Goji. This is Bayard First Day from Burning Force, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive version. This is composed by Yoshinori Kawamoto. And that was Bayard First Day from Burning Force, the Sega Mega Drive's Genesis version, composed by Yoshinori Kawamoto. And this was special ordered in by Crazy Goji, who I must correct, whose birthday was on February 1st, not the 2nd. Happy birthday again, buddy. And yes, I do like me some Burning Force. I like both versions of the OST, the arcade and the Sega Genesis, but I do prefer the Sega Genesis Mega Drive version because it's a little bit more, kind of cleaner, if that's, makes any sense. A little bit more punchier, kind of nice pace. The arcade version is, pretty good. It's got the YM2151, which is 8 channels of FM, and then the beast of a chip that is the C140, which is 24 channels of like PCM sampling. And yeah, like the samples are a little muddy, kind of drowns the FM out a bit, whereas this, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive version is just using the YM2612 for the FM, and like I said, it's a lot more cleaner, a lot more, you can hear everything going on. So this game, Burning Force, is a third-person shoot-'em-up in 1989 that translates to being a Space Harrier-like. And you play as Hiromi Tengenji, who is training to be a member of the Space Force, and so she goes through stages on her air bike and, shooting down enemies and everything. Oh, and one of the main differences in this game is that there's no vertical movement. It's all just horizontal, so you can only go back and forth, no up and down. And, oh yeah, very important, the air bike that she rides is called Sinduck. So now, Yoshinori Kawamoto, he has been a member of Namco since 1988, and is still a member of the now Namco Bandai sound team to this day. So starting in 88, he was involved with making music for Dragon Spirit, would go on to do Felios, Splatterhouse, which is one of his more notable works, Super Batter Up on the SNES, Wagyan Land 3, Ball Jacks, Smash Tennis, which is one that we played before, Yu Yu Hakusho on the Super Famicom, Ridge Racer 5, Mr. Driller 2, Klonoa Beach Volleyball. I wonder what that's about. We got Breakdown, Pack Picks, Pack and Roll, Star Fox Assault, Quick Spot, Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS, Tekken 7, and his latest credit is Taiko no Taisujin Drum and Fun on the Switch. Now here's a little fun fact, like many of the composers in Japan back in the day in 80 and 90s, he had aliases. And a couple of them he used was Kawagen, and then Donald Kawagen, which is most likely inspired by Stealing Dan and Donald Fagen, which he has a lot of musical influence from. And another one is DX21 Kawagen Y8950. The first part obviously refers to the Yamaha DX21 keyboard, but the second one, the Y8950, is the FM sound chip that is within the MSX computers. One of those chips that's in there. So thank you again, Crazy Goji, for the special order. Hope you enjoyed. And that, my friends, is another round of special orders fulfilled. So thank you everyone who has actually put orders in for this round, and everyone who's listening right now, please send them in again to VGMporium@gmail.com, on Twitter, on the Discord if you find that. And if you don't feel inclined to do so, please just keep listening on all your favorite podcatchers such as Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, even Amazon and Audible, or you can listen directly from the website. It's VGMporium.wordpress.com. And I've been trying to do better at being a little bit more engaging on the social media such as Twitter and Instagram. And then as for the proprietor of this fine place, your host, Ragecage, you can find on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Mastodon, as well as on SoundCloud, where I post my original musics. So now, in these coming weeks and a month, I have some cool things kind of cooking up. I'm not going to say what it is. You can guess what they are. You might have an idea of what they are. Some of you know what it is. But, yeah, it's going to be really cool. As far as what next week's going to be, it's probably just going to be something really easy and quick to kind of, concentrate on more of these things that are coming up in the future. So get excited for that. So thank you again for coming into VG Emporium, and I hope you decide to come back in.